Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. Was that not just the perfect start? If you're with us for the very, very first time, you can find us. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We are here as Richarlison steals the show for Tottenham on the opening day and see Spurs beat Burnley by 3-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Back alongside me, it's a top-tier panel to discuss Spurs getting firmly off the mark. I'm joined by broadcaster, presenter. He's everywhere these days, the Tottenham Way podcast as well. Get that on your audio applications coming your way. And they've got a show dropping imminently, I can tell you. Marcus Buckland is back. Marcus, lovely to have you here. You are smiling. What's going on?
Mate, it's a new season. It's a new beginning. It's a new club. It's a new world. It's a new everything. We've been here before, mind you, but I'm enjoying it for now.
Unbelievable. What a start. And I've known Marcus for about 7 years. I think I've actually ever seen Marcus as happy as what he is right now. Oh, we've come away. We've come far away. Also back on the show, needing no introduction, Marlon is back from the Spurs Kings, and even he's smiling. What's going on, Marlon? Lovely to have you here. Is that a right smile of genuine belief, potentially?
It's a small for today, but I'm happy. I'm good. I love 3 points. I love winning games. I always have fun. So, but it was quite glad to get out of that game unscathed as well. Oh,
yes,
just good to see. Good to see, and a clean sheet. That's all I like. Clean sheets, unfortunately.
3 goals.
I know not people, but 3 goals. Clean sheet, and new signing being exactly what we've all been asking for. And look what the impact they have on the first team. See,
honestly,
it's all, and us fans know nothing really. We know absolutely nothing.
Look, it is potentially, like I say, the start of something very, very special. I was alongside him in the stadium for that something special. That's why I've saved him to the very end. Myself, Johnny, Sean were there watching it live. Oh, maybe a little bit of an interesting first half. It's spiced up in the second. Johnny Hamme's back on the show. Johnny, love to have you back on alongside us here. What a start. What a start, under the Thomas Frank era.
Yeah, proo. It's
We're
a new day, it's a new dawn, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Let me tell you, honestly, the Thomas Frank era has begun. Richarlison has found his feet. Long may it continue. He's found his fitness. And we saw the signs in Bilbao. We saw some more signs on Wednesday night against PSG. And boy, did we see it today. Give him the ammo, which is what Kudus gave him today. Yep. And, we saw the result. And, it's just great to feel good. I know we had Bilbao, which was an amazing, emotional night, but I think there's a great feel-good factor. When I was walking out the stadium tonight, the amount of beaming faces, even though it was only Burnley, it was a lovely thing to see. The sun was shining and the smiles were back.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I say, the dream start for Thomas Frank. Look, if you're also the very, very first one, I say, if you can hit the like button to share this out to a wide range Spurs audience, give us a subscribe. That'll be most appreciated. Let's take you through the match facts and the stats from Tottenham 3, Burnley 0. Spurs racking up 16 shots to Burnley's 14. Tottenham 6 shots on target to Burnley's 4. Block shots, Burnley edging at 3-1. Tottenham 12 shots inside the box to Burnley's 7. 4 shots outside the box to Spurs to Burnley's 7. Recovery Spurs, the busier of the two sides, 38-32. And even the corner count Spurs edging at 6-5. Tottenham, isn't that nice to see, dominating possession at home, 68% to 32%. And also looking much more likely in front of goal, 2.50 to Burnley's 1.24. And someone already, I've got to just say, we had a lot of comments coming into us here on Last One on Spurs. People saying, could we already? Well, look, we did say at one point, as soon as the full-time whistle went, we did say, stop the count. Tottenham were top of the league. They were top of the league as we did get going. And Marcus is laughing in the background. They were top. They were top for a good 2.5 hours before Man City kicked off. But look, hopefully it could be first versus second next week, as Marcus did tell us. Marcus, let's open with you. Dream start for Thomas Frank in the Premier League. Spurs recording their first home Premier League win since Southampton on the 6th of April. Brace for Richarlison, including that sensational, which we'll come on to, that sensational scissor kick, followed by Brennan Johnson's smart finish to send Spurs, as we mentioned, at that time to the top of the Premier League. First league win in 8. Can you believe that? First league win in 8, and only the small task of Man City up next. Marcus, Thoughts on that? Feelings on that for you?
A bit strange today because I had a notebook with me. I'll take some notes. I'm just going to be very forensic about this performance. And straight away I said a sharp start. We could have been a goal up inside 30 seconds. You know, Bergvall, who I thought really grew into the game as well. I just think he's such an imposing figure when he strides forward and he delivers some of those flowing passes. I love Bergvall. I think he's going to grow stronger and stronger. Very quickly as well, I know it's a new rule this season. I love this rule against the goalkeepers. Only, 8 seconds however long they're allowed to have it. And very quickly, Dubravka got done for that. I mean, for the poor teams in the Premier League, and everyone's saying that the three who come up are going to be the three that go back down anyway. That's not going to help them because I'm sure all of you think back to games. I always remember the one against Sheffield United a couple of years ago when actually we finally beat them 2-1 in about the 156th minute. There was so much stoppage time. The time wasting that day, and it kept on happening. That is a brilliant rule, by the way, which I think will really help the flow. Another point I wrote down very quickly, Thomas Frank animated on the touchline. I don't want to make this a dig at Ange Postecoglou podcast, but Ange tended to look at his shoes quite a lot. His hands never came out of his pockets. Thomas was there. He was cajoling. He was encouraging. Occasionally, he was berating as well. And then just in terms of some of the performances, and it was a great team effort, I think. There were a couple of iffy moments defensively, a couple of sloppy bits of play. And I do believe that we need more creativity in midfield. We're all crying out, of course, for Eze to come and join us. But Kudus, what a league debut. Richarlison, he was magnificent during the week. I thought he was absolutely superb today. The second goal, we'll talk more about it, but I believe there were 17 touches. Everybody in the team was involved in that move. It's an early contender for goal of the season. That's not an exaggeration. Van der Ven, just unbelievable. I was panicking when he went down in about the 75th minute, thought maybe he should come off. I just love him. Romero, not necessarily his best performance, but leading by example. That's what we need, leaders. And everybody else played their part. Jed Spence, some of his touches, fantastic. I'm going to miss out a couple of players that I should refer to, but there wasn't a weak link. Archie Gray, I know he's looking to establish himself in midfield. I thought he did really well. He got better as the game developed. He won't necessarily start every week, but he's going to be a really important part of this squad. And honestly, that's the word. We have got a squad. And if we do sign one or two more before the end of August, and Thomas Frank has said we're in the market, we have to make those signings. We really do. It would be criminal now from Daniel Levy and the board when they have assembled such a good squad already not to go out and get, well, the two names we're talking about, but certainly Eze in particular. That is essential. And then Daniel Levy, we might not necessarily go and win the Champions League and the league straight away as you wished for in June, but I think we are going to be a factor. We're going to be a force this season. And I'm not just getting carried away because of one win against Burnley. I do feel Kulusevski, by the way, who I don't know when he's coming back, but how important is he going to be? Madison, we have got the basis of a really, really good squad here for the next 4 or 5 years. They're young players as well. So that's why I'm excited. That's why I'm smiling. Yeah. Get the business done, and this is the start of something special. I genuinely believe.
My jaw's hurting. This is unusual. I haven't had this feeling for God knows how long. Listen, let's come over to you, Marlon. Marlon might bring us a little bit back down to earth because I know, like I say, he kind of takes one game at a time. Maybe not like me and Marcus, we get sometimes carried away. But we've gone through a lot in the last 18 and a half months, however long you want to go there. But look, as I mentioned, a really, really decent performance. Second half, we did step it up a gear. I mean, the thing about it is, which I think will excite many, many fans, Miles, it does feel that this team has got yet another level to go to. And that'll be the exciting thing about today. The fact that, you may have just seen Spurs in really 5th or 6th gear. And there's just so much more this team can do. And we hope they're going to do. I mean, I will just say at this moment, look, we are going to bring you at the very, very end of this show, the latest news on, of course, Tottenham's pursuit of Eberechi Eze, where it does feel Tottenham are getting closer and closer and closer to Eberechi Eze being a Tottenham Hotspur player. And obviously, we'll bring you also Tottenham's pursuit of Savinho and where that is as well. But Miles, to come back to you, I thought the great moment at the end, for those that weren't aware, is that Thomas Frank went on a lap of the entire stadium to implore the Spurs fans, which is what has really been his customary tradition that he did, of course, at the end of every Brentford game. He carried that on at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Miles, your thoughts? Spurs 3, Burnley 0. Was that exactly what we all wanted?
Oh, spot on. If that was one of those performances or one of those results especially after Wednesday, we were looking for a reaction, and we did see it today. And I saw a lot of people were bemoaning the changes that were made. Some of the midfield changes as well at the beginning when they saw that it was Bilbao and Archie Gray in the middle. But for the type of game we were going to receive today, he had to probably go with those two because we didn't really need defensive-minded players like Paulinho on the pitch or Bentancur, and considering how much they took out of him on Wednesday. But yeah, but for me, I think one person Marcus missed out, Pape Sarr, for that first goal. Again, winning it. He did it on Wednesday and he was doing it again tonight. He wins that ball to give it to Kudus, and then for Kudus to give that cross. If he doesn't win that ball early, he was winning it very high up the pitch. And I think a lot of people kind of forget what he kind of does, but he's literally, out of everyone in this preseason and today, he seems to be developing into the player we thought we were going to get. And look, Paratici, you know what? You've got a good one there because he looks like he's going to become a star, and especially with Kudus in this team as well, it looks like it's going to be. They look like they're striving up a connection in the sense of when he wins the ball, it's always Kudus is the next man that he's looking for, or wins the ball back. There was some slack concerns for me. Big one there. I think we allowed them too many chances, and this is Burnley, and this is the worry that I had because I was having an argument with someone the next earlier, and I said, but Burnley have created chances. The problem is they haven't taken them, and I think that was the one concern that I had. Brennan Johnson is Brennan Johnson, like missing in the first half, but gets the goal. Typical Brennan Johnson. So I'm not going to complain about him too much because we know what we're going to get with Brennan. You are kind of playing with 10 men sometimes with Brennan. But Archie Gray, I disagreed with Marcus. I thought in the first half he went missing. I forgot he was on the pitch. Second half, I do agree with Marcus. I think he kind of got back into the game, but I felt like we were a bit more solid when Paulinho and Bentancur came on. But apart from that, everybody else, and I agree with him about as well. Romero was slightly offish, but you know you can take that with Romero if you're going to keep a clean sheet. But everyone else was tremendous, and Spence. It's going to be hard for you, Doggy, to get back in this team, you know, when he comes back, because I thought Wednesday and today, no one beats him. Yeah. Nobody beats him. And it's going to be really, really interesting what Frank does, because I know he wants to play a certain way with me, Doggy, because he is left-footed. So it'll be quite interesting to see what he does when he's eventually back fully fit. But yeah, Richie today, look, for Richie, it's about keeping fit now. We don't want him to suddenly break down when he's suddenly starting to produce in the Spurs shirt, and that's the only worry. But if he can produce what he did today, because both finishes were excellent, top draw finishes, he actually remembered he's Brazilian. He actually remembered it today. So, but no, it was all good, apart from the slight in between. But we'll see how it comes over the next few weeks. I think, as you said, first half I thought was a bit, we got the goal and then we kind of let Burnley get back into it a little bit. But second half we were excellent. I thought we were really good in the second half. Whatever he said to them at half time, we started to play and we started to get into the room of the game. Yeah.
Listen, again, it's been a great start. I had the pleasure of joining next week for a good 2 hours or so. Johnny, love to have you back on the show, of course, on Football Inc. and, of course, on the Spurs 5. Look, we said it, Johnny, at the time. Perfect start, really, for Thomas Frank. The 2 goals from Richie, both assisted by Kudus. And, you know, I've got to share this. Steel Reels here says we've already amounted 7.89% of last season's points total already. We're flying. We're off. What can go wrong? We are on top of the world. I mean, Johnny, your thoughts on what ended up being a really measured, controlled, decent performance from Tottenham, where I have to say that I know I agree with Marlon. There was a number of chances that Burnley did have in the first half before we got the second goal. But when we had the second goal, it just felt we was in command of the game and there was only be 1-1. John, what did you make of it for you?
Listen, I'll just start with a couple of quick negatives, right? For me, the left side just wasn't working. Jed is brilliant, but the link-up play between Jed and Brennan Johnson, sorry, it's not good enough. Brennan, lovely finish, but you know, a football game is more than finishing a couple of chances or one chance. The link-up play was absolutely poor, and it was shown up with what was going up on the right-hand side with Pedro Porro and and Kudus, who've only played a couple of games together, yet they were linking up like they'd played together for ages. Also, Vicario, he just makes me nervous. I can't help it. It's just, I
was grabbing your leg today. People must have thought, what is going on in that East stand?
I know. You were getting. I
mean, at one point I was on top of you, which is quite worrying.
It's a worry. It's a worry for me. It's a worry for me. But look, let's and listen, Burnley. I'm with Marlon there. Archie Gray in that first half. We started strong, but we let them back into the game needlessly. Archie Gray wasn't getting on top of it. But I love Thomas Frank. I'm such a huge Thomas Frank fan. And everyone today expected to see Papa Sarr push forward in the forward role in the midfield like he has been in, pre-season. But today it was Bergvall who was pushed forward to start the game. And as Marcus said, he was absolutely fantastic in the middle of that park. He's swiveling around with the ball. His strength, his upper body strength to hold on to the ball, his peripheral vision, everything about this kid is absolutely spot on. Him and Papa Sarr, I've been a huge Papa Sarr fan, and so it was a bit hard for me last year to listen to some of the hard time he was getting from a lot of the fan base. I just said it's the manager and the tactics, but I felt those two today were really absolutely fantastic. And what can you say about Kudus? There was a moment where the ball came from one side of the pitch and he controlled that ball outside his foot and I dragged it back. It was a magic moment. And you heard the whole crowd, 60,000 people just go, whoa, it was incredible. But listen, Richie, look, I'm probably closer to it than I should be, so I'm sort of emotionally attached to it. But I felt very emotional today seeing those two goals that he scored. It was very reminiscent, the second goal of the goal in the last World Cup. But no one seems to be talking about the fact that he was actually the guy who won the ball for the third as well. His work in the middle of the pitch was absolutely superb, and I think he was desperate to get the hat trick. All I can say is, here's a guy who's desperate to pay back the fan base and the club for what has been a horrific period. That you can't dress it up.
Yeah, injuries have really killed him, haven't they? Yep.
Yeah, and when you look at his career at Everton, I think he played something like 100 games on the bounce. Going to the Olympics, winning the gold medal there, and then he's come to Spurs, and it's been an absolute shambles. But for me, I one of the highlights for me, apart from the game and the feel good factor, was looking across. As I'm sat on the East Stand looking directly at Thomas Frank and seeing him wave his hand, seeing Cochrane getting involved, seeing him shaking his head when stuff was going wrong. There's going to be some clipping done. There's going to be some video clips done, and some people are going to be dragged over the coals for some of the positions that they were taking. Brennan Johnson and Archie Gray. Listen, he's got Paulinho to learn from, and I think it's the perfect guy to dovetail with, because we saw during the week just how much Paulinho brings to this football club and to this team. But we need an Eze. I had sort of almost like creative visualization of Eze on that pitch today at times. Whether he's drifting in from that left-hand side, if he needed to be, or playing as that 10. This team linking Kudus with Eze and Richarlison and Matasar and Bergvall, it just gets the juices flowing. It's exciting. It's what the fans need. It's what the fans want. And if Daniel Levy can understand this fan base and read the room, this is the player he will deliver. Because I don't think I've ever known a signing one player that united a fan base. Normally you have, oh no, we want him, we don't rate him, we don't want this one, we want this one. But I think it's universal that this is the guy to lift the spirits. And I believe, as hard as it is to get him over the line dealing with Steve Parish, that we will see him in a Spurs shirt. He was born to play for Spurs.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, look, we want to see him in a Spurs shirt. From what we understand, that move is getting closer and closer and closer, and it could even break whilst we're on air. That's how close it is at the moment. So look, we'll bring you up to date with that and more. Marcus is looking very, very eagerly eyed there. The fact it could. It could. We'll see. Look, we're going to go straight into Thomas Frank's interview. Some really great stuff from there. We're going to squeeze in our first break of the show. Let's hear from the boss who has registered his first win as Spurs head coach. Let's hand over to Thomas Frank, who talks us through that win against Burnley.
Clean sheet.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's of course. Perfect start, our dream start. We all know we need to follow up on it, but today I will just enjoy it. I hope the players, the club, the fans enjoy it today, because that's important. I think overall a good performance, not through the roof performance, good performance against a difficult opponent. Is never easy in the Premier League. We know that, and after the very short term around against PSG, no complaints. If there's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 1 day, I'll make sure I'll do everything I can to get the team ready. But it is just a reminder that PSG is playing tomorrow night and we play today. So, and as I think Anthony and I spoke about that, CT a couple of years ago also played Saturday instead of Sunday. So I don't know who decided that, but the ones who decided maybe need to think a little bit about the players. But big positive, our medical department and performance department done a top job to make sure the players were ready and ready to go. I think we had 8 starters again, so that I'm happy with.
Spoke about Richarlison yesterday. I mean, a couple of moments of magic today.
Fantastic. You need he's scoring. I think the first one is definitely easier to score from without being easy. But have a striker that take those 2 chances is, help us winning the game. He deserved a lot of praise. I think he was very good against PSG. Today he was exceptional. His work rate, his driving the team, link up play, hold up play, just dominating. And then the 2 finishes. I'm so happy on his behalf. Again, performance department, medical department done a top job to build him. I think a few of you know that he was not involved in the first friendly because we had to build him, and that will be continuous. It's something we need to look throughout the season. It's only the second game of the season. It's a long way home, but very positive today with him. Second goal, 17 passes in the team, I've been told. Every player in the team touched the ball. Finished with 2 top actions. First, Mohamed Kudus, and then an exceptional finish from Richarlison. So I'm a little bit disappointed if that's so early. We had the goal of the season, but must be a contender.
Just the last one for me. A very young midfield today as well. What did you make of the 3 players in there?
I think Papa have praised so much, so I'll not say too much about him today. Give the praise a little bit to others. Archie Gray did well, I think. Fine first half, but really grew into it in the second half. And I think, as a reminder to myself and everyone else, young players take a little bit of time. It can't be that you just put them out there and then suddenly exceptional. That demands incredible talents. Normal, very, very good talent, which I think Archie is and Berkel is. Demands some time. So happy with his performance. I think Lucas overall were very good as well. Top actions from both players.
Hi, Thomas. What did you say to Richarlison when he came off the pitch? It looked like you had a little interaction with him.
Just, very well done. Really liked his performance, his work rate, and we're looking after him.
I know you just mentioned Archie. Most of last season we saw him in defence for different reasons. What skills does he possess which means he can play that number 6 role?
I think he's a they need to be aware of not putting players in different positions. I think he's a player that is a flexible player that can definitely play the centre back and the right back. But I think he is more natural as a midfielder, but he can play all three positions. I like his, how can I say, his dynamic. He's covering a lot of ground. He's good in duels, good in the pressure, and great to carry the ball forward as well.
Nice. Ibasuma wasn't in the squad today. Was there any kind of specific reason?
Yeah, unfortunately, he got injured in the training yesterday, so very unfortunate. Injury we look into, how much it is.
And then on Richarlison, kind of what role do you expect him to play this year? And obviously, it being a World Cup year as well, do you feel that kind of extra motivation from him?
Yeah, but I think before the season started, I had an expectation that he will be an important part. That hasn't changed. Of course, we're all very happy. He should be very happy today. But again, we shouldn't get carried away. It's one game today. Happy, enjoy it, 24 hours, and move on, and then we prepare for City.
Thomas, there's been a lot of speculation about Richarlison leaving the club, and were you always clear that you wanted him to stay?
Yeah, I think I always liked Richarlison. Always thought he was good when he played for Everton, and when he came to Tottenham, we all knew that he have struggled with some injuries or been some unlucky with also. So we are very aware that we need to build him and protect him because we can't say we just played 2 games back to back. Well, he did well both, and then we're out of the woods. That we need to prove over a little bit longer time, but the first signs are good.
I guess it's the dream scenario that him and Solanke are pushing each other.
The dream scenario is to have 2 good strikers. We need that. We hopefully playing plus 60 games this season. That'll be great. Then we have done something right, and for that you need double positions. You need that.
Tom. Just on Richarlison, just back to one of your answers earlier. So are you suggesting that to manage him, he will be dropping out of the team every so often, just because that's where he's at fitness-wise?
I think it's fair to say that he hasn't played every game the last 3 or 4 seasons because of injuries. So I think we need to be smart with him. What is the right answer to that? I don't know. That can be getting out earlier. That can be coming from the bench. There can be various ways. They can be playing 5 games in a row. You know, we need to get to know him as well. That's the next thing. I don't know him. So yeah.
There was a nice moment when Matisse was warming up. The fans were giving a big show of support, big round of applause. We've seen what happened in the week. First of all, your reaction to how the fans supported him, and how has he been in the lead up to this match?
Yeah, extremely happy that the fans, as I said, I'm extremely happy with how the fans reacted towards Matisse. As I said yesterday, I think the true Tottenham fans, they are behind him, and they showed it today.
And just finally, as ever, not long left in the transfer window. Are you expecting some business this week?
We are definitely in the market. I said it before, Daniel and Johan and Vinay are working relentlessly to try to do their best to improve the squad. But we're also very aware we only want to improve the squad. If we can't get players in that can improve the squad, then I want to keep it as is.
Thomas, just to follow up on that, is there anything you can say about Everett Chiesa? There's been a lot of talk over the last 12 to 24 hours. He's edging closer to a move to Spurs.
I have that nice principle that I would like to speak about the players is in-house, and all the other speculations I don't want to speak too much about that.
Okay, thanks guys. Thank you.
Hey guys.
There you go. That was Thomas Frank responding there on the back of Spurs beating Burnley by 3-0. Chuffed, but I think what the greatest thing was to come out of that presser for me is that he knows there's still a lot to do. Feet firmly on the ground. Let's just get the take on that from the manager, Marcus. I could see you there in the background. Look, you're making some notes, still following up from the earlier part of this. Thoughts on that from Thomas Frank? Quite a calm, composed observation of the game. What do you make your takeaways from Frank there and how he reacted to that result? I'm on mute, Marcus. Sorry, Marcus. We've got you now. We've got you.
Good. Sometimes I make a lot more sense when I'm muted, but I'm glad you've muted me on this particular occasion.
Don't worry. We all know it's the same for all of us. Don't worry about it. Someone agree.
No, I thought that everything he said was brilliant. The one thing I was intrigued by, the question, what did you say to Richarlison when he came off? Because obviously you're a striker, you've scored 2 goals. You want your hat trick. I was kind of putting myself into Frank's shoes. If I'd been Thomas Frank, I'd have put my arms around him and said, you were brilliant. I know you wanted your hat trick, but you're more important to us than that. I'm afraid. We need you week in, week out. You've done the business for today, but absolutely fantastic. And he's stressing that it's early days as well. The performance department sounds quite ominous. The performance department monitoring all the fitness levels. Clearly, things have not been done properly with regards to him and several other players in the past, and that they seem to have that under control, which is great. I want to go back to what the other boys were saying about Archie Gray, and I accept that in the first half he wasn't fantastic, but as Thomas Frank said there, he is young. He got much better as the game went on. He was, I say mucked around last season. He had to do so many different jobs. And I thought he was excellent at fullback and in central defence last season. We know that essentially he was signed to be a midfield player. And when he was given a couple of chances in midfield, it was at the wrong time. He didn't get an opportunity to show what he could do. And I just think that we've got to be a little bit patient with him. But he did develop in the game, and I think that is fantastic, which is why I wanted to be positive about him. And equally, guys, I'm a bit like Frank. We say great things about Pape Sarr every week, which is why Marlon, apologies, I didn't mention him during my earlier little rant. But he's absolutely fantastic. My only bugbear with Mate Sarr is, and I said this at half time today, I thought Spurs were a little bit shot shy. There were a couple of opportunities. We've seen Sarr. I mean, that fantastic goal against City in the Cup last season. There were a couple of opportunities where I thought, have a go. And I know that when Spurs players did have a go, more often than not, we were blazing it 20 yards over the bar. I just think sometimes, have a go, guys. Yeah. And it will work for you. So that was my only criticism of him. He'd be in a position and he'd turn back and do something else. But, no, everything that Thomas Frank said there was great, and he keeps repeating we're in the market. He knows. We all know. We all know. Just get him in house. Get Ebbe in house, and then we can we can go even more crazy.
Absolutely. Before we do go to that second half of the show, Marcus has picked up on it there. We understand Spurs in this last 24, 48 hours have accelerated their interest in Eberechi Eze. We understand that personal terms are understood not to be an issue, and Spurs are closing in on Eberechi Eze to the point where we're led to believe he will be left out of Palace's squad on Sunday for Chelsea. We'll come on to that as we look to close the show on transfer speculation. We are also hearing, again, being interested to see how this one does pan out if it does end up happening, but Spurs are showing late interest in Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa. Now, obviously, he does play as a central attacking midfielder, so will be intriguing to see just how genuine that link is, and if Tottenham, God, at the moment, who we're being linked with, it's gone from Eze to Savinho and now Morgan Rogers. We'll have to see. I know there's a lot of excited people right now about how this transfer window can end, because I think when you come away from that stadium and you think to yourself, Kudus on one wing, you've got potentially Savinho on the other, you've got Eze going down the middle, then you come out and you've been linked with Morgan Rogers. You're probably thinking, am I in some kind of dream? Do I want to wake up? So look, we'll come on to where we are in the market later in this show. But I say, really good there, presser from Thomas Frank. We're halfway through. We've got over 5,500 of you that are watching the show live. Thank you, as always, for your incredible support for Last One on Spurs. I'm joined by Marcus Buckland from the Tottenham Way. They are getting going. I don't think they actually ever stopped throughout the summer. They've been dropping the podcast still. Make sure you go and take a like over there, and make sure you subscribe to Tottenham Way. We've got Marlon from the Spurs Kings. Make sure you're having a look over there and giving them a subscribe. And we've got Johnny over from Football Inc. and the Spurs 5. So it's going to be an intriguing part. Look, we'll come on, guys, if we can, to the start 11 for this one, because there was a lot being made about the fact we did make changes, of course, going into the game. And the fact of the matter is we knew we had a bit of a quick turnaround from, of course, the Wednesday to the Saturday. Frank made 3 changes to his Spurs side. Frank decided, or he had to decide really, how many members of his team were ready to go again. With that being the case, we thought he would be. And Mickey van der Ven was back in the side. He was alongside, of course, Christian Romero. Too early for Dominic Solanke. He had to settle for a place on the bench. Richarlison once again starting, while Brennan Johnson, Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall all coming into the team at the expense of Rodrigo Bentancur, João Palhinha, and of course Kevin Danso. That team read for Tottenham: Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Gray, Sarr, Kudus, Bergvall, Johnson, Richarlison. That bench of Danso, Palhinha, Tell, Vuskovic, Solanke, Odebear, Bentancur, Kinski, Davis. Miles, thoughts on the team for you? Back 5, is that what you think we're going to be seeing? Or do you think that's just Frank on this occasion making that change? And who knows what we're going to see week to week, Miles? We'll get you to unmute if you can.
Yeah, no, I think most weeks we will see the 4 when there's teams that are going to back off, like Burnley will. We when you see when we're going to have more of the ball, I think you'll see this. But when we play maybe the sides that have a threatening front three, say like a Liverpool at the moment, I reckon that's when he'll do the 3. It will chop and change depending on our opposition. But at least I think from what we can see is from Wednesday we can change quite easily. And that's a good thing because we're going to be playing some games this year. We're going to be up against it, and vice versa, where we need players. But I thought it was a brave decision when Archie Gray and Bergwijn and Sarr was the midfield. But I got it. I understood it straight away. I went, he needs legs in the middle, young legs as well. Burnley will probably, if anyone watched Burnley last year, they were very good defensively, but that's because they sat quiet. They didn't sit as high as most teams, and they caught people. So this is where I thought actually, even if Paulinho and Bentancur didn't play on Wednesday, it probably should have been that lineup anyway, because we probably didn't need the both of them in there who were going to sit kind of and not push us forward. And you saw the impact Bergwijn and Sarr had with their legs in the middle in that first half. So we definitely needed it. So big up to Frank for that lineup. And we are going to see, it's going to be chopping and changing depending on the opposition. I don't think anybody's guaranteed a starting place as well in this team at the moment, apart from Kudus, because he's most impactful. But as you said, if those signings come through the door, even Kudus won't be guaranteed a start in the starting lineup. But it was good to see, and it was, to be fair, that's 2 performances now since the Bayern Munich game. We've had 2 performances that would probably say has put the smile back on our faces. So the lineup today was brilliant, but I thought it was a bit unfair that they had Darren Hartman at left back today, Burnley, because that just meant. But no, all jokes aside, it was all good. It was all good.
Honestly, I mean, again, when you look at crazy stats out there, I think that's our first clean sheet. I'm just trying to look back as to when that was. The first clean sheet in the Premier League for the first time since winning 1-0 against Manchester United on February the 16th. God, amazing. Yeah, we're getting used to this. We're trying to club ourselves and get used to this. Seeing goals without the opposition responding is an interesting one. Joey, let's come over to you. I mean, look, it's quite interesting. I don't know if you picked up on it. Scott Parker really complimentary of the way Spurs approach the game, and even went on to say that, you know, it's difficult really to try and suss out Tottenham because it's a new coach, and quite frankly, they didn't quite know how to deal with Tottenham. And I think there was periods where you could see that, right? I mean, we were sitting together and you were saying to me there were periods where you could just see Burnley were really struggling to deal with the way Tottenham's rhythm were in the game. I mean, is that one of the most impressive things of I know you're going to go on to this a lot because I know you love about it, the variation of Frank and how he does adapt and change midway through games, right?
Well, the fact that we haven't kept a clean sheet since February, you know, it's who we were, mate. It's who we were. It's not who we are now. And look, today we started 4-2-3-1, and I think on the whole that's how we will play. But listen, I tell you, and all the time I've been watching Brentford, going back to the Championship, I used to sit there and watch them, and I think I've got this sussed right. This is how he's playing, and then I go there and watch him the next week, and I've got it completely wrong. He's changing it up. He's changing it up for this game, changing it up for that game, changing it up mid-game. These players are going to have to learn tactical flexibility. All of them. And if you don't comply, you'll die. It's as simple as that. He expects, he's a hard taskmaster. And as Basuma found out, if you don't turn up and you don't do what you're told, you're going to pay the price. And, you know, he comes across as a lovely guy, which he is. But he's a hard taskmaster. As I said, you know, he will show people, he will show the players data. He will clip parts of their performance and say to them, look, you know, you're going missing. You're not doing what I want. And if they don't do what he wants, they will get dropped. But I think you can see, especially in the last 2 games, you know, structure and how we're playing. You know, against PSG, that pressing really high up the pitch in their half. And then when they got into our half, it was that sitting back, really nice and tight, 5 at the back, or 3 at the back with 5. It's going to take them time. My surprise is how quickly they are adapting in, you know, just 5 weeks. But guys, you know, I'm a realist. You can't go from losing 22 games, finishing 17th and conceding 63 goals, and then suddenly flipping a switch and making it all right again. You know, all great partnerships start, in my opinion, from the back. Jan Vertonghen, Toby. Look at all great teams. They start with a great partnership in the back, and you know, we've heard Frank mention this quite a few times, and I'm behind it all the way. And I think a lot of people just took that as Frank is going to play a pragmatic football. We're going to see Conte ball, you know, sitting back. That's what he did at Brentford. No, it's a misnomer. It's not how he plays. It's not how he wants to play. But I agree. You know, I would rather grind out a 1-0 victory at this stage of where we are in our development to get to this mentality that we don't concede a goal. There was an exercise that I was going on about before we played PSG, where they were firing balls in and they were making the players get up, rush across the goal, block the shot, get up, rush across, block the shot, over and over and over again, until they were absolutely exhausted and they couldn't move. We saw that against PSG. Yes, we capitulated and we conceded those 2 late goals. But it's exercises like that where you're putting your body on the line, where you're not standing off the ball. But I think he will be upset in some ways, Thomas Frank, today that we allowed, as Marlon said, we allowed Burnley 14 efforts at goal, because I think there will be better teams. You know, we saw how Manchester City absolutely tore Wolves apart today. They're a wounded animal, and they'll be coming for us come the weekend. So we've got a lot of work to do to tighten that up, and it's going to be interesting to see how we do, because obviously City have hit the ground running as now. But listen, there's lots of positives, and it's the early part. You see, the thing with progression, I'll quickly cut now, but in 2 years, I didn't see progression under Ange Postecoglou. I saw regression. And what I'm looking at Thomas Frank here is the early green shoots of progression, only the early shoots. And, you know, we've got to be patient, and there'll be times where, you know, we do lose games and we're not on top of it. And we have to accept that's part of the journey.
Yeah, listen, we are going to come on to, like I say, the way Spurs started the game. And you know what? It was quite remarkable, because normally when you take your seat at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, for a lot of the syndicate holders or for people that do go to games, you normally think to yourself, I can get away with going for a coffee and come back to my seat. And nothing's really going to happen in the first kind of couple of minutes. That's what it's been in the last, you know, last 18, 24 months. And you think, God, a chance in 25 seconds? What's going on here? God, the coffee's gone everywhere. Or the beer, it could be in that case. But real early chance for Tottenham. Bergvall, of course, you know, picked out by Kudus at the time. Takes a nice touch with the keeper, makes a sliding effort with a save. Looked like a 4-3-3 at that moment, but it then moved into a 4-2-3-1. Marcus brought it out with that new rule coming to enforce, which, to be fair at the time, I actually didn't really pick up on, but it is a really good rule, as Marcus has spoken about. And look, we didn't have to wait too long. Richie got us off the mark. And if I can, to Marcus to talk about the goal, the opening goal, taken with such control, such aplomb from Richarlison. And it's the first goal of the Thomas Frank era in the Premier League. A smart finish from 12 yards after great work initially by Mohamed Kudus. And just on Mohamed Kudus, I have to say this. Already, you know, the stats are for him. Registered 5 chances and 2 assists on his Spurs home debut. And to put that into emphasis before Marcus comes in there, Tottenham recorded just 1 win at home against the promoted sides during the 24-25 season. We've already matched that feat on the opening weekend. So we know that the first goal in games is absolutely crucial. And Richarlison got us on our way. What did you make of the goal, Marcus, and the way Richarlison took it?
It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, Kudus, we could go on about him all night. He was brilliant. But when the ball came to Richarlison, he had a lot to do. And the way he cushioned it, he controlled it, he didn't whack it. You know, he saw where he had to put it, and he timed it to absolute perfection. And that was the finish of a top quality striker. It was a brilliant move. I will say one thing. This is one of my bugbears, by the way, about getting to the ground on time. This will only affect a certain number of people. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. Someone please explain to me why at Seven Sisters Station, when you come up from the tube and you want to get on the main line, you have to walk outside the ground and go all around the bloody houses before going back in. I missed the train by 30 seconds as a result of that, and then had to get the next one, which got me into the ground with a minute to go before kickoff. It does my head in. I'm sure there's some health and safety reason for it. I'm slightly digressing, but please, someone sort that out. It's just such a stupid, unnecessary 5-minute diversion. But yeah, it was a brilliant finish. It really was, and that set the tone. And you know, I thought Richarlison was absolutely brilliant against PSG during the week. All that was missing was a goal that night, but both his goals. I mean, obviously the second one was even better. But you know, we have seen tonight what he can do, and if he stays fit. And I like the good question actually from my mate Tom Barkley from the Tottenham Way podcast. He said to Thomas, you know, are you suggesting he won't be able to play on a regular basis? Well, I mean, he won't have to, because hopefully if Solanke is fully fit, and by the way, when he came on, he nearly scored as well. We're going to play 60 odd games. That's what Frank said. If we play 60 odd games, we're doing well. And that's why you need two fantastic strikers who are quite similar in a lot of ways. And it's brilliant. So he won't have to play every game. It'll be madness. Not, you know, 60 odd. I love the fact, that's why I'm excited that you've got two positions there. You know, wherever you look, we have got backups now. And hopefully when Kudus comes back and we sign a couple more before the end of August, there'll be even more backups. So this is why I'm sounding like a, you know,
very excited man.
Sounding like a very, very, very a deluded man, maybe, but I am a very excited man at the moment. Yeah.
People aren't used to you being on here, Marcus. So excited. We're all, I think, getting carried away. It's a great way to come away from the lane like that and have the victory that we've had, and the fact Richarlison's made that impact. I mean, it was a superb start, and it's great for the player, isn't it, Mars? You know, to come in at that point. He's had such horrendous luck with injuries, but we even saw it really under Postecoglou that when he was fit, he was a massive handful for the opposition. The key thing will be, you know, Thomas mentioned, of course, in that presser to Thomas Frank, can we keep him fit? Because that's the thing, Marlon, isn't it? I think you look at his goals, game-to-goal ratio, you know, he's a 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 player. You know, he's not a terrible alternative to have to Solanke. The key will be, can we keep him fit, right?
Yeah, no, and that's always going to be the problem with Richarlison, and it's probably the problem with what we had with Maddison and the problem we have with Romero. It's about keeping those players fit, because when it comes down to it, they're so important, integral part of this team, but we can't wheel them out onto the pitch enough. And I found with Richarlison, whenever he gets going, he has a setback, he's had a setback, and I can see why most Spurs fans have given up on him. The other issue that you also have is, yes, he's finished 2 today, but he might not score for another few games. But like you said, he causes chaos. We need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. So what we're hoping is, you've got to remember, this is a guy that's never scored. I think the stat is he's never scored more than 13 or 12 league goals in a season for anybody. We need, for a team that's trying to head into top 4, I'm going to say top 4, and trying to win trophies and be competing on all fronts, we need more of an output than that. So he can't really be a 1 in 3, 1 in 4 if he's going to be the main guy. However, the 2 finishes today, oh my God, if he can keep this up, if that's the confidence we're going to get, because I think I said, I remember his 2 finishes against Everton, I think it was last season, where he looked like he was going to go on a run and then he got injured again. But those 2 finishes were great that day, and it looked like he was going to be the striker we all want. But he's got time to turn it right. If Frank trusts him, the fans are going to be on his side to trust him as well. And as Johnny said earlier, he wants to probably repay us back for what for his time at this club, because he hasn't really lived up to the 60 odd million that we bought him for. So, but if he can keep this going and keep the performances going, even if he's not scoring because he is a handful, then mate, Richarlison's going to be. Everyone's going to be asking for Richarlison to be starting every week. It's just getting him out there. And that's always what it is with players. Most of them, they can be good players. If they can't stay fit, are they any use to you? And that's the big question we have to all ask ourselves in the next few weeks is, okay, he scored 2 today, but what happens if he breaks down again? Is it a case of, do we have to try and get rid of him?
Go, Marcus.
I just jump in very quickly and say that's so important. And Thomas Frank about the performance department again. I mean, I think Johnny knows more about how Richarlison's been treated over the past couple of years. But it's a joke that so many of our top players have had recurring injuries, and there have been different reasons for that. But if Spurs are going to really compete at the highest level on a regular basis, we have got to sort that out. because that's a massive, massive part of a football club, keeping your best players as fit as possible. And for years and years, we always seem to have had more injuries than just about anybody else. So I sincerely hope that is being rectified. And I'd actually love if Johnny can just tell us why Richarlison has struggled as much as he has over the 3 years that he's been at the club.
I look, without throwing anybody under the bus, he was not looked after properly. There's so many aspects of why a player can get injured. Monitoring of injuries, the wrong exercise, the wrong rehabilitation, diet. There are so many elements that can help prevent and keep players strong. And I think every one of those elements has been addressed over the last few months, recent months. And what you see now, I think, is the fittest looking Richarlison the fan base and the club has seen. Although he's still being monitored. I think the one thing, what Marlon said was he creates chaos. I think it's a bit harsh with well, I wouldn't say it's chaos. What I would say is that if you have someone like Eze and a Savinho coming into this team, what he's going to do, he might not always score the goals, but what he's going to be doing is creating the space because he's taking players with him. When he starts holding up the ball and the shithousery he gets on with, he's going to create space for Eze and Savinho to run into. And that's going to see where we score goals. And, it's not always about the assist. You can be the guy before the guy to get the assist, as we saw today for the third goal. He didn't assist the goal. He didn't score the goal, but he was the guy that helped before that, to make the goal possible. And I think, as Marlon quite rightly said, this is all about keeping him fit. And I think Thomas Frank and the team know that. But that work rate, we see it from Solanke. We see work rate from Solanke, but I think I kind of disagree with Marcus. I think they're very different players. They're similar in some instances, but I don't think Solanke is capable of some of the technique that Richarlison possesses. I mean, everyone talks about the first goal that he scored in the World Cup, but I think if people look back after this pod, obviously not during it, the Seal goal where he sort of balanced the ball on his head and scored. I think it was I think it was in the same game. Another unbelievable goal. If he keeps fit, it's great for Spurs. We need, as Marcus said, we need two strong players. I hate this word that we always use on pods, backup. There should be no such thing as backup. It should be competition. And the only position that we don't have competition for, in my opinion, is left centre back. So we need a Hincapié after 3 years of begging to bring this guy in. He's been my dream since the World Cup, the last World Cup.
I think even he's manifesting it. Look, we're gonna come on. We are gonna come on to where we are in the market. We are. Look, in terms of the game, obviously Spurs going 1-up. Richie, of course, grabbing that first goal of the Thomas Frank era, and Spurs really, in that opening part of the game, were playing quite well. I mean, we were gonna. I have to come on to this. That it did feel, back round to you, Marcus, that Burnley were starting to grow into the game, and there was that moment where I think all of us kind of paused for a moment because there was this kind of coming together, if that's the right phrase to even use, between Pedro Porro and their forward, which I think at that time, I mean, I looked at Johnny and thought, could that have been a pen? The referee very quickly kind of waved it away, which surprised me. I mean, upon reflection, I know maybe the angle we're showing for those that are watching the show live isn't the greatest. I mean, in real time, was you concerned that they might have, I don't know, have a look at that or not really?
Down the other end from where I was sitting, so I wasn't initially aware of how maybe worrying a moment it was. I understand subsequently Scott Parker went mad and was having a go at the fourth official and saying it should be a penalty, etc., etc. So honestly, I don't want to sound like Arsene Wenger. I didn't see it at the time, and I'm delighted that the referee waved play on. But yeah, there was that period. I mean, I actually don't really want to give them any credit, but I will give Burnley a bit of credit. They were slightly better than I thought they were going to be. And let's be fair, they got 100 points last season. At that level, they were fantastic. We know the way they play, but they did construct some good moves. They did create some half chances. I'm not sure that Vicario ever had to make a really good save. But there was that concern at halftime. I was saying to anyone who wanted to listen to me as I was writing my notes down for this podcast, that the second goal is essential. And once we got the second goal, that was then done. But, and that's why I agree with the other two boys that, it wasn't perfect by any means. And, Burnley at home, first game of the season, is a very nice start. And when we go to Manchester City next week and when we play some of the other bigger teams, we'll obviously get a much better idea of how good we are, and defensively in particular, how solid we are. So nothing's perfect, but, I don't think you want to hammer home unnecessary negatives at this stage. We did what we had to do. We rode a little bit of luck, which most teams have to do at various intervals anyway. So that was fine. And I just go back very quickly on the subject of Richarlison and Solanke and Johnny. I take your point that they're different in a lot of ways, but the point I was trying to make is that they both hold the ball up really well. They're strong. They can create space for others. I think that's a really good point that you made. And that's going to be so beneficial because, of course, you go back a few years, we relied on Harry Kane for the vast majority of our goals. And I think, again, this season, hopefully we are going to see 7 or 8 players all weighing in with a pretty considerable number of goals. And that will be a no small hang on, let me start that again. And that will be down to, I think, a lot of the selfless work that both Solanke and Richarlison are capable of doing.
Yeah. I agree. Listen, last night the Spurs do go into half time 1-0 up. I think we all in agreement kind of going into half. We knew the tempo had to be higher. Richarlison's 10th minute goal, the difference between the two sides. Obviously, chances were limited, but Kudus really, I would say, is probably the standout player of that half. Obviously, picked out Richarlison for the early assist. I think really did get players off their seats. Let's quickly fit in what is our final break of the show and hear from Mohamed Kudus, who reacts on making his full Premier League debut for Tottenham on the back of Spurs beating Burnley. Let's hear from Kudus.
Mo, that was a really special start to life here in N17 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How did you find it out there?
Really, really nice. The reception from the fans, the support has been incredible. But I'm happy with the whole team for the 3 points and a clean sheet.
You are someone that excites the crowd, you get people on their feet. When you are in those 1v1 situations, do you feel the electricity in the stadium when you run at a player?
Yeah, I really get the boost and the encouragement, even though it's part of my DNA and my game to be in positions like this, but also with the help of the team, because they need to get the ball and get me higher up in those positions. But yeah, definitely the energy from the fans also bring the boost, even though that's what I love to do, take players on and then try to create and help the team win. And I'm glad that Richarlison was able to finish them off today with 2 beautiful goals,
Mo, talk us about the goals. I mean, the first one, you get to the byline, but it's when we watch the replays, Richie just sort of stops. So I don't know, do you see him do that and actually angle it, or are you just putting it in an area? How does that? And the second one, obviously, you just stand it up to the far post. Yeah, and he bangs it.
With the back five, I think they have a very low line, so definitely there's more space around the edge of the box. So today, when I get back, that's why I'm trying to put the ball. The second one, I don't think is a perfect cross, but his finish made it look so good. But
it was a perfect cross. He finishes it. It's in the right position.
Yeah, we try to build a connection between us two. As a winger, one of my responsibilities is to serve the strikers and put the ball in areas for them to score, to get more confidence, because that's why we are here to serve the strikers.
Keep doing that, and Richie keeps getting in those positions. Yeah. Well, obviously today it was unstoppable because the quality of the ball and then the wonderful finish. Yeah. Calm, cool, and he made it look easy, but it was 2 really well-crafted goals.
Mo, how have you found life in North London, moving over to the lily white side of London? Have you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, I think we've been all around the place for the pre-season. So
a lot of travel.
Yeah, it's first couple of weeks that I'm really here, but my first game in the stadium, massive feeling, and I'm really happy. But the effort from everyone, for the past weeks, in the preseason, traveling, putting day in, day out effort. You know, big credit to the whole team, and I'm really glad to be in an environment like this with high level of work and competitiveness to challenge for every trophy. You know,
and a lot of faith and confidence in you from the manager. He's put you straight into the side, and you've gone out and delivered. I wondered, coming into today, were you nervous? Did you feel nerves, or were you just excited to get out there?
I wouldn't say nervous. I think there's the intrinsic motivation already inside me to always deliver and do well, you know. So I think that's what I feel, you know. Before every game, you definitely feel something in your belly like, yeah, I really want to perform and do my best, you know. But with the help of the team, like I said, they really helped me settle in quite well, you know. But I still have a lot to improve and a lot to show more. It's just the beginning, and then it's a long marathon to go.
There you go. That was Mohamed Kudus on the back of Spurs beating Burnley by 3-0. I have to share with you in a second a transfer update that might upset a few, because we are hearing reports as of this moment from Miguel Delaney that negotiations for a deal for Eberechi at the moment are becoming quite complicated as we stand. So we might have to put that champagne on ice. That is what's coming out right now. Look, we hope by the time you hear this show back and it's on the playback that Eberechi it's a done deal and he's wearing the Tottenham shirt. But what is being reported on this Saturday evening as we record here is that the Eze negotiations have become difficult as things stand. Only Tottenham could create a soap drama out of this. Marcus, what do you make of that?
Do we know why, Ricky, they're becoming complicated?
No, there's no indication as to why they're becoming complicated, but as things stand, they have become difficult at this moment.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's probably part of it. What terrifies me is that Arsenal coming through the back door and grab him. If that happens, that will knock the stuffing out of all of us. So I just hope this is a little stumbling block and you know, a little bit of showmanship on maybe both sides, and we get it over the line. Because we said it several times. It's what we need, and it would be a hammer blow. We've already missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White. We don't want this one to go wrong.
No, we don't. I mean, we do know. I mean, I think it was over the last 24 hours that there was reportedly a gap in valuation. I mean, the fact that I'm only bringing this into the show now because this is now obviously what's happening at this moment in time was that we understood the move had accelerated at the earlier part of the day, Miles, and the fact was the matter is the player was unlikely to even be featuring for Palace against Chelsea, with the suggestion that he'd not even travel or be involved in the squad. Now we are hearing the fact that at the moment, and look, fingers crossed it's going to change, hopefully, that the negotiation has become difficult. How concerning is it, Miles, that we're hearing that maybe it sounds like at the 12th hour from your perspective?
I'm not surprised. This is Steve Parish we're dealing with, but this is where, if Tottenham have changed, we're about to find out. Difficult deals is something we always kind of never go over the line. We walk away from. This is clearly a money problem, and let's see what happens. At the end of the day, from what we heard,
can it be a money problem at the 12th hour? Can it be a money problem at the 12th hour like this when you've had the player?
It will be. It will be. It'll be Steve Parish going to Daniel Levy or whoever's doing negotiations, going, nah, you know what? We said this. Give us this. We're not lowballing, and Tottenham will be Tottenham. Tottenham will always go in lowball, and that's not exactly what they want. And this is the issue that we've had in the past. We just need. What's going to happen is over the next few days, it'll get ironed out.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Days?
Of course, it's going to be days. This transfer was never going to be easy. This is one of their best players, and it was. You know, when you're dealing with top players at top clubs, this is what's going to happen. You know, let's take Gyökeres at Sporting Lisbon. How long did that take? That was weeks ago. Arsenal were linked with him. They only got him over the line a couple of weeks, like a couple of days ago. And you're like, okay, top players take longer. They always do. But Tottenham always tend to not get the top players because we end up walking away or we end up being Daniel Levy with it. But right now, let's just not panic. The transfer window ends in a couple of weeks. We just have to look. Everyone was reporting this morning; it was positive, and then something's obviously happened, or Palace has seen the performance today from Tottenham and gone, "Hold on, mate, you're getting him on the cheap, because he's gonna if you're playing like this now and you get him, we're adding an extra 5-6 million onto this. But look, let's see.
Yeah.
Look, apparently Eze's the one has agreed everything. He's the one who wants to go. We'll see if he's in the squad tomorrow. But let's not panic yet. It's one journalist at the moment. I know because he tweeted an hour saying it was positive, and then he's saying it's not. And one thing I do agree with Marcus on is I am slightly worried about that Arsenal element. I'm not going to lie. I am worried about that Arsenal element. But from what we hear, Arsenal can't do the deal at the moment. Arsenal have to sell, and there's Wanyeri held up that deal as well. So let's just hope Spurs can get this done over the next week or so.
Oh, God. Let's come over to you, Johnny. Everyone seems to think you might know something because you've got a mischievous look in the background there. Look, just to talk us through where we are and what we thought was the case. There's been positive talks throughout the day. Eze's informed Palace of his desire to join Spurs. Those talks have really been progressive over the last 24 hours. Agreement has reportedly been reached over the personal terms with Eze. That's not meant to be a problem. He wants to move. Tottenham have been obviously having club-to-club talks with Palace now to try and reach an agreement. Spurs believe that Eze will cost about 55 million and want him in addition to Savinho. Again, the fact of the matter is it feels like maybe this is a money issue. But at this point in time, to hear that in the last 48 hours, it accelerated. The fact the player was not expected to play any part of Palace's upcoming game, and now you hear the news, this is now becoming quite a difficult negotiation. What are you reading into that for you, Johnny? How concerned do you think we should be by these reports? Or by this report, should I say, like Marlon said, it's one journalist at the moment, by this report from Miguel Delaney, of course, chief football writer at The Independent.
Listen, it's a bit of a news story, isn't it? A difficult negotiation. Negotiations have become difficult. Is that what he said?
Yes, that's correct. The negotiations have become difficult. Yes. Yeah.
Negotiations were very difficult for me tonight to tell my wife, actually, we're not going out for dinner and I'm going on last word on Spurs. But I managed to navigate it. And that's what Spurs will do. They will navigate it.
Correct answer.
Where there's a will. Look, we know Steve Parish is a very difficult character.
Yep.
But you've got to think about Crystal Palace here. We're only thinking it from our point of view. To lose someone like Eberechi Eze will leave a massive void in their team. So how do they replace it? There was links with Harvey Elliott, but now we see that Harvey Elliott is sort of twerking for a move to RB Leipzig. So who will be the player to fill that void? There could well be a situation where Crystal Palace will need to have a player in before they can let him go. Also, don't forget that Crystal Palace have a very important qualification game on Thursday in the Europa Conference.
Yeah.
Personally, I can't see him playing in that one, but I'm sure they'd want him to play in that one. Look, I think that he'd like to come to the club. If you read between the lines, I don't think if he comes to Spurs, let's put it in black and white. If he comes to Spurs, he becomes number one. He becomes our star man, right? Fan favourite.
Yep.
Goes to Arsenal, he becomes a rotational player. I don't believe he, as good as he is, he'll become rotational under Mikel Arteta. And I just think that this is the club for him. And I think deep down, he knows this is the club for him. He just smells, looks, everything about him, is Tottenham. And I don't expect any deal to be done with them right now. With Crystal Palace is easy. Look at the deal with Mark Gahey with Liverpool. Liverpool have, would love to snap him up right now. But that deal is proving very, very difficult. So I just think we have to ignore the noise because, there's a lot of clickbait out there. If I dropped a note right now, and said, I'm a journalist and I dropped a note, progression, something else. I could make up how it's worded. Suddenly everyone's jumping on that. And he's made this post tonight. I don't personally believe is any substance to this, but I do think that the press are quite often just a bit behind the curveball. Sometimes the agents like to throw a bit of info out there. But look, I'll be honest with you. If I think it will come a point.
Johnny, I'm so sorry to do this to you. We are hearing some further news from Miguel Delaney.
Oh yeah.
Oh, where is this show going?
You know what it is, Ricky? Miguel Delaney is reporting that Johnny's wife's considering legal action now that the dinner was called off, and that he's on the last word on Spurs instead. That's his.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I could deal with that better than what I might be about to read. I wish I was about to deal with that better than what I'm about to read out. We are hearing now there are doubts whether Palace will sanction the sale of Eze to Tottenham. That is from Miguel Delaney. So he's following up now. Not only is there concern about the fact of the negotiation being difficult, there are now doubts about whether Crystal Palace will sanction a sale to Tottenham for Richie Eze. I mean, look, you won't mind me saying this, Marcus. Obviously, a lot of decent colleagues of yours are obviously informed in the media. I mean, how concerned do you think we should be?
And why suddenly now they're not going to sanction a deal that was going so well? And by the way, Eze, okay, they've got a Conference League game next week. He's made it very clear he wants to play in the Champions League, not the Conference League. Why would they suddenly not sanction this deal? I mean, I don't. Obviously, the things are going on behind the scenes. I don't understand that at all.
Can I just ask here? I mean, look. I don't believe any of this. I've got to be honest with you. They're not going to sanction it. So what are they going to do? They're going to hold him hostage. Well, we're going to see another Marinakis video.
We've seen this already.
Well, we're going to see another Marinakis video where, Eze's saying, oh, yeah, Steve Parish, lovely guy. Look, he's been there 5 years. He's been there 5 years. He's given them 5 years of his career.
And a trophy. And a trophy.
2 trophies, okay?
Yep.
2 trophies. It's time to move on. Are we going to see another Wilfred Zaha situation where he's held captive against his will? If you think that holding a player, he's served his sentence with the club, right? He's served brilliantly for them. He's behaved impeccably. Now's the time to let him go and let him find pastures new that suit the status and the position he's now reached as a footballer, which is greater and bigger than Crystal Palace. And take the money. Take the money.
And on that subject, John, I understand that Palace, for their financial situation, do need to sell as well.
Correct.
So they're really going to be spited. And by the way, we'll give them Basuma as part of the deal if that helps things a little bit.
I'm all right. They might definitely not sanction it if that's the case.
He might arrive late. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
just a few balloons should seal the deal, I think.
The only thing I want to add to this quickly is everyone has to remember how we were feeling about Harry Kane on the golf course going to Manchester City.
Yeah.
All right. So because everyone's going, he wants to leave and stuff, but none of us wanted Kane to go. So you can imagine they're in the same situation with Eze. So we can't sit there and say, on one hand, because we reacted really poorly to Kane wanting to go to Manchester City before he ended up going to Bayern. So just on that note.
I tell you, if this still does not happen now, I mean, I don't know how you
start this night feeling so happy. I'm going to be driven to drink by the end of this. It's all gone wrong.
Do you know what? Can I just say
we're starting on water. We're going to finish on whiskey.
Do you know what? I was having a chat with some guys the other day, and they said, "Look, this obviously not happening. We have to move on. We have to move on to other players." Now, if Spurs moved on from Eze and they signed maybe Paz from Como,
but what do you think?
Fan base, you would have the fan base going, typical Spurs, typical Levy, right? All the twerking for the big names, and they end up signing some 21-year-old kid. He's a good player, but that's what you're going to have. So, you can't have your cake and eat it.
But do you think also, Johnny, just on that point, the fact that we're being linked as well, I have to say, with Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa, who also is a central attacking midfielder, should we be reading between the lines that are Spurs looking at an alternative, or do you just think now they've been fixated?
Yeah, very possibly Plan B. But listen, let's be honest, I prefer Eze. But, would people be crying if Morgan Rogers came in?
No, but I think now, I don't know if you guys agree, Marlon. Very good. We have got to move on from this. I mean, I say move on. I'm not sure what's coming next on this show. Poor Marcus, he's been with me. I think we sat Nuno on the same night. I mean, we don't do quiet shows. We just don't get quiet shows on it. There's always a drama. Marlon, the fact that now it has become difficult, and the fact that there has been probably now to alternative attackers, how concerned are you by that? or is it now all on Eze for you because of just how public it's been? The fact Eze wants to join the club, so we were hearing he's already agreed personal terms. They're not a problem. For this now to become difficult, it can only be about money, surely. If the players already agreed personal terms, or dare I say, the worry thing out there is, like you said, there's a sniff from our neighbours, right? Which might be the concern potentially. I
think Johnny might be right. Is the fact that Harvey Elliott doesn't want to join Palace, and then is it Bilal Kudus from Leicester they're being linked with? Yeah, Kudus, being linked with. Maybe there's some complications with that where Leicester are going, hold on, we know you're getting this much, and are trying to up the price on that. So it possibly could be where Palace are failing to get the replacement in. So that it could be that's what's caused a little glitch. But like Marcus said, we could probably add a couple players in to help them out until they can get an alternative. But look, let's see what happens. I'm not going to read. Look, until everything the balls start to move in motion. Let's not panic yet. Yeah. Let's not panic. We've been told by most people that are around who know things inside at the club has changed this summer. But what's the best thing is, if Eze's not coming, at least the Rodgers stuff's being linked with, not the whole where Morgan Gibbs White 2 weeks done, and then that was it. We were linked with nobody, and we're all complaining. So at least we've got the alternative there, just in case. Because I know Aston Villa need the money because they need to recoup. They've got their own issues with financials.
Yeah, I just think it goes back to that point. I just think, given how far down the line we are with Eze, and just how much I think now it's felt more real than ever. He's going to be a Tottenham player. For it now not to happen, I am lost.
Year of little faith. Year of little faith. Let's see.
Yeah. I've got more faith in him being a Spurs player than Silvino at the moment.
Okay.
Down to money. If it's 10 million quid that we're lacking, should we start a GoFundMe thing just to get it over the line?
But isn't it ridiculous that we're even having these conversations? I mean, how many years about players have failed transfers from Fernandes to Morientes? William jumped out the window. William jumped out the window. I mean, just these stories you hear.
Get him. Yeah. Just do it.
Right. We have got to quickly move on because we did have a game today, which we did start off on a really positive fact, and we want to end on a positive fact. And of course, if there's any further news on Eberechi Eze whilst we're on air, we'll bring it to you. But Spurs' second half did start in a much more brighter note. We, of course, had Gray going close with a gorgeous outside boot of the pass to Johnson. There was a follow-up save from Dubravka in there. There was those kind of 2 moments of concerns. Anthony played in Hannibal, but Sarr slid in well after a good initial work by Van der Ven. And then we have to come to this moment that I know for many out there in the stadium could already be the goal of the season. It was that good. It really, really was, Marcus, to come to you first. Richarlison, scissor kick alert. It was a wow me moment. I was there moment. Again, brilliant work from Kudus with the assist on the right-hand side. Chipped it into Richarlison to produce his sensational volley into the top corner. I mean, look, positional-wise, it was superb. And, it goes as far as playing his part in the third goal as well. But to be in that stadium for that moment, Marcus, could you quite believe what you were seeing? Because me and Johnny together, we couldn't quite believe what we were seeing.
Interesting. We heard Kudus a few moments ago saying he admitted it wasn't the perfect cross, which makes the finish even better. The power, the way it fizzes into the back of the net as well. I mean, it is magnificent. And, I was so pleased because, okay, we've seen Richie get his first one, but he's a confidence player. To score that as well, I think it's going to give him so much belief. And of course, as I mentioned, he would have liked to have had the hat trick, but if he maintains these levels of confidence, and if Johnny says that they know how to keep him fit, then, well, there's no guarantees, but the world is his oyster. It was fantastic, and it was vital as well. We did need that second goal. Burnley are not accustomed to conceding a second goal. Am I right in saying they didn't concede two the whole of last season?
16 in total. I think they were, very on a few occasions they conceded a second goal. That's how good they were defensively.
So that won the game, and it was a wonderful, wonderful moment. And Richarlison had so many issues to deal with. I've warmed to him so much. I think we all have as Spurs fans. He's been honest about some of the mental battles that he's had to fight. And I know if he plays against you, he's the sort of player naturally you're going to turn against. But I just love him, and that was a wonderful, wonderful moment.
It was indeed. It was. I mean, I think the great thing about it, if I come to you, Johnny, on this, because obviously we were both in the stadium together, is the fact that when you was in there and you actually saw the replay back, that roar from the fans to think we've just witnessed it. It was. I mean, it's mad. We're on the first game of the season, and we've already seen the goal of the season, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest with you. You and Shawnee were having a deep conversation in the first half, and in the second half, thank God you were paying more attention. I think
it was getting tight. It was getting tight in that first. The tempo was off in the first half.
100%. But I think that I hadn't actually noticed the 17 passes. I've got to be honest. But the way the ball was worked from the left-hand side to the right, and the link play, look, that was a spectacular goal. It was a spectacular goal. I don't think, no matter if you stop the season, come the end of the season, should I say, there will not be many better goals than that as a team performance goal. The finish was incredible, but the fact that there was 17 touches there involving every single member of the team must be a massive boost for the coaching staff at Tottenham Hotspur, the new coaching staff, because Cochrane, Frank, and all the rest of them are so hands-on with his squad. This is something that he will say, look, this is just, you've just done it once. This is great, but we can do this again. We can open teams up. It's all very well opening up the Burnleys. Let's see how we get on. Next week is a massive test. I mean, look, we've only just started. We've literally just started on our journey. We're only sort of polishing the car at the moment. We haven't got the engine, the proper engine in. It looks all glitzy from the outside. I think come Saturday lunchtime, we will have a better idea of where we are as a football team. Hopefully, with an Eze or another player in the squad.
I must say, please forgive me for those that are watching the show live. People keep looking at me looking down.
Come on, give it to us.
No. I'm just saying. Please accept my apologies. Nothing at the moment, but obviously, if you see me looking down and looking back up, only because I'm conscious that I just want to make sure we try and make the show in real time as best as we can. You can't make this up. What is going on? It's only Tottenham that we have a win like that. We can't even enjoy talking about the bloody win because we're trying to understand what is going on with Richie Eze's move to Tottenham. We'll obviously bring you in more on that as soon as we get it. And there was a lovely, we touched upon it there, Johnny. There's also two bits of brilliant skill in that goal. The first was Kudus to drop the shoulder to get it down the right. The second was, of course, a stunning volley from Richarlison. The ball behind him, but honestly, that technique was absolutely sublime. And if I come to you, Miles, Johnson again, LA was what was being sung in the stadium. Took his goal really, really well for the third. I mean, we were questioning, a lot of Johnson at times during last season. Where is he? We can't really see Brennan.
MIA. Yeah, MIA.
Missing in action. Then he pops up with a goal. So it is Brennan. Again, it's an art form when they say a skill. Because, how many times do we always say Harry Kane? God, Harry's been a bit quiet. Then Harry scores. So you could argue it's an art form in itself, but Brennan gets his goal. It's, again, really, really well worked from Tottenham. More great work from Richie to hold the ball up. Sarr took it on, played that lovely through ball to the Welsh international. Hit a definite little touch pass to Bravka. 3-0 Spurs. And what was quite interesting, Marlon, to ask you this question. I just wondered, do you think Johnson's role for this season, given didn't start in, of course, the final against Paris Saint-Germain, the Super Cup, is he going to be, depending on if Spurs do get Eze over the line, is he going to be more of a squad rotational player this season for you, Marlon, or do you see Brennan Johnson still being in a position where he will be in Tottenham's first team? What's your engagement for you, Miles?
I think Wednesday spoke volumes because I thought out of all the players that the fact you're coming on after Tell, nothing against Tell, just spoke volumes. And today, yes, he got the start. But again, I think what Johnny said earlier in the show where we were saying, he went MIA. He was MIA in the game until he scored. And that's typical of Johnson. And I don't think Frank and the team need a player like that in this current, if he's going to do that, because there's going to be certain games where we are going to need him. And if he's gone missing, we're playing with 10 men effectively. And so it's okay for today because we're at home and everyone else is performing. But what happens when you're in October, November, you got Champions League and league games coming up and Johnson's not playing well? You know what's going to happen. We're going to get on his back. So it's going to be an interesting one. I don't think he's going to be a first team player if he gets the players over the line. However, he will play an important role because I think due to injuries and stuff, I think Johnson will always get a chance. and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I think there'll be injuries that always mean that Johnson's there and thereabouts, and he
Yep.
will score goals. He will score.
Yep.
That's the one thing he will do. He will score goals,
Yep.
which in some moments, especially last season, look, it won us the Europa League. We can't complain with that. But at the same time, it depends on what they. For me, Johnson can't play on the left. I don't think that's his strongest position. But when we signed Kudus, everyone said the reason why he was so poor at West Ham last year was because he played on the left. When he played on the right for West Ham the year before, which most of these played, that's why he had a better season. So because it was Bowen that was playing through the middle. But let's see what happens. We can't look. I'm not going to sit here and say, he's going to not be a first team player, because I bet you any money in 2 weeks' time, Frank will put him in and we'll be like, egg on my face.
Yeah, listen, we're going to have to see how that does work out. It's going to be fascinating because, again, Brennan was so heavily involved, of course, last season under Ange Postecoglou, of course, got 20-plus GA last season. And I think Johnson showed you, again, that finish, it was a really, really good finish from Brennan Johnson. There's no doubt about that and the way he took the goal. So, yeah, lovely goal from Brennan. Spurs 3-0 up and they're cruising. Bentancur Solanke replaced Gray and Richarlison. Both got big hugs, slaps on the chest from Thomas Frank. Richarlison, of course, then walked off as slowly as he could. I was saying to Johnny, I was concerned it might have been an injury with the way Richarlison was kind of walking off the field. But got a big hug from Thomas Frank. And, yeah, we saw a big pat on the chest for Gray as well. Got better and better as the game went on, as Marcus said. Also, I have to say this, Matisse Tell, lovely ovation for Matisse Tell. And it hasn't been the most easiest week for him. And Thomas Frank was right what he said, that when he gets back home to his home stadium, Tottenham Hotspur fans, they're going to get behind him. One Matisse Tell rang out from the South Stand. The class of our fans, again, just shows you the entire stadium applauding that change. And Spurs went on to, record a 3-0 win that does see Spurs already in the early days up the top of the Premier League. We were top for the period. We wanted to say stop the count. City stopped the count for us, quite literally. They do go top, so it may very well be first versus second. And it just does feel now at the moment that obviously all eyes are on really what Spurs are going to do in the build-up to that City game, where what are we? We're less than a week away from it. So I'd be stunned if Savinho is a Tottenham player before that game. You just feel that one may drag to the wire. It feels that one is going to be longer than what it looked like Eze was going to be. Guys, if I ask you to close on this point, if you don't mind, these next 4 or 5 days, what do you hope happens? Because, again, that's another 4 or 5 days on the training ground with Thomas Frank. Potentially, we hope an incoming. How important is it, Marcus, do you feel we do get some more support before we do have City on the horizon, obviously Saturday week?
Now than before, because we've had this sort of belief given to us that it's going to happen. So that'll make it even more painful if it doesn't. So it's absolutely essential. And I agree with you. Probably the other one, the Savinho move may not happen until, certainly until after we played against Manchester City. But we need a couple more players. On the subject of Johnson, by the way, and Marlon made a good point there that he doesn't look as good on the left, but I think he's going to have to bite the bullet for the team. And I do think, again, I'm going back to what Thomas Frank said, we've got 60-odd games. He's important because he does score goals. And, okay, he might not do a lot else, but scoring goals is a seriously important aspect of any footballer. So I think, he can play his part definitely, but he might have to, play on the left when he doesn't want to, et cetera, and come in for some games where he'll feel, I wanted to play that one as well. But he's part of that squad. But Ricky, now, because we all thought that Eze was coming and having had the disappointment with Morgan Gibbs-White earlier in the summer, if that goes wrong, that's just going to leave that nasty little taste in the mouth again. And whoever else may come in, well, they're going to be the second choice. So I do think that this is a critical couple of days. You might have another update for us now. I don't know. I'm hanging on past Fred as you look down with another little update for us.
I don't want to be that guy that is kind of making everyone absolutely terrified. But as soon as we do any more news, we'll get it. I mean, look, we have to hope that there's going to be some form of a decision soon because, I can't imagine a window where we have another situation like the Gibbs-White saga. I mean, Marlon, where would you say your confidence is at the moment? This deal does get done despite that, again, report for those that have missed it, for those that are walking through the door and have just put this on, and there's only over 10,500 that are watching this right now. That must be thinking, I've just come in from watching Spurs absolutely demolish Burnley. I'm about to sit down, have match of the day for the evening, and then opening their phone, they put this on, they're thinking, what? What do you mean there's difficulty in the negotiations? What's going on?
Sacks the killjoy.
Oh.
No, for me, until Johnny loses faith, I lose faith. And that's how I'm going to put it. Because he's got a cheeky smile on his face, as he has done since the whole talking about this. And when he tells me that it's not going to happen, then I'll believe. Look, I think we will get it over the line. Because out of him and Savio, as I said earlier, I think this one is more favourable. Even though people have made a great point and said maybe we won't get Savio until after the Manchester City game. But I'd love to get Savio. I think seeing what Kudus was doing today, if we could get Savio playing on that left, oh my God, we are gonna be a good side. Seriously good side. But look, I'm not gonna get upset or anything yet. The team showed a resilience today. They showed enough for me to go, at least I know we're not going to finish 17th. That is all where I'm at. But they will struggle against the good teams in the Champions League. But if they play like they did against Paris, and there is that, the way they were solid, then look again, Frank will get us as much into the games and competing as we
Johnny,
need
take
to
that
be.
call. Take that call, Johnny.
No, it's not.
Okay, he's still smiling. Eze is coming, people. Eze is still coming.
It's Johnny's wife. She's in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It is my wife saying, you told me an hour and 15 minutes. It's been an hour and 31.
I promise you, I know you're not going to believe this. We were going to be scheduled for an hour and 15, and this is completely and utterly disrupt the whole bloody show.
Blame Eze, Johnny. Yeah, blame Eze.
No, I will.
Stay live until the thing's sorted. If it's 5 days, we've got to keep going, boys.
Yeah. A streamathon. We need a streamathon. Look, just going back to
move on to Johnny.
Yeah, just for saying what Marcus was saying.
Johnny, just keep talking for half hour. Keep us on. Keep us going.
Marcus, backdoor Johnson. Look, the thing is, today, 2 or 3 times, he had the ball, and unlike Kudus, he checked back and did exactly what he did all of last season and the season before. And I don't think Thomas Frank will tolerate it, if I'm brutally honest, because you've got to be brave. You've got to take players on. Yep. You've got to be brought down, but you've got to create space. You've got to take on your man. Be brave. So what if you don't do it? Better to have tried and failed than never to have tried at all. And that's Brennan Johnson. And I think he needs to develop that aspect of his game. And moving on to the, what's going to happen this week. I think most of this week is going to be Thomas Frank changing the system completely again, probably reverting to the same system or same kind of system we used against PSG. But whether or not that will involve dance, I'm not so sure. But I do think by Tuesday, Wednesday, we will have sort of clarity as to what's going on with Eze, because I just don't think it can go on.
I mean, the fact about it now is how are we going to last until Tuesday? If we're in this kind of situation of complete unrest of not knowing, we can't. I don't think we can do this again. We had, what was it, a week and a half of Gibbs White? I mean, just constantly, just utter silence. And I think the problem now is, now fans agree, and Marcus is nodding there. I think I always have. I'm now in this situation where the longer these negotiations go on, the less confident I am, because when we had that situation at Gibbs White, it is no disrespect to a lot of the wonderful journalists that not only cover Tottenham, but the national journalists out there as well. There was that feeling that, oh, don't worry, it will get done. It will get done. Don't panic. This will get resolved. But the problem is, I just feel that when there's this kind of bridge of silence, that's what worries me. And I just don't think we can have 2, 3, 4 days of being that silence there. Do you agree, Marcus? Again, you've got friends in these kind of circles. I imagine even for you as a lifelong fan that you are, love the club, we can't have 3, 4 days of not knowing, right? We can't go through this now again with another player. The top target, the one that everyone's wanted.
The problem is, for years and years, we are linked with players, sometimes very closely linked, sometimes they might be coming, they might not. And things have gone wrong in the past. So I'm not quite as relaxed as the other 2 boys here. Until the deal gets done, something can go wrong. I don't know. I mean, we just don't know. That's the bottom line. Palace are playing hard ball. Spurs always play hard ball. It's got all the ingredients for a soap opera. So, I mean, I think we just have to all chill out, guys. Let's just, we're second in the league, and let the powers that be.
We're only one game in, but we're second in the league. All right, we're one game in, we're second in the league. Yeah,
that's what matters.
Yeah, listen. Of course, as always, we'll try and keep you posted on developments with Tottenham. It wouldn't be Tottenham if when you have nice things, you immediately get stuff handed back to you to say, "There you go, have that for a bit, serve on that." We know what we're like, so we will see what happens in regards to the Ebereche saga, if that's what it's becoming. Steve Parish, again, renowned negotiator for not making it easy. Those conversations between him and Daniel Levy will be absolutely fascinating because they're two gentlemen that you do feel will have their own prerogatives going into those negotiations. And by the fact, they're tough. It's difficult. You just never quite know how it's going to go. So, Marlon, let's come to you. Mate, thank you so much. We are off to a winning start. Man City next. Let's hope we get a few through the door. Thank you again for making this work. And as in the world of Tottenham, we await to see the next chapter. Is that fair?
Of course, as always. Let's hopefully we get a positive result next week. We can keep up with City and then go from there because the fixtures after that are quite, I shouldn't say it, but are quite favourable and fixtures that we probably all like. And get this Thomas Frank train running and rolling, rolling down the into the league. So come on Spurs. It's been a pleasure today, but keep it up. That's all I've got to say. Keep it up.
I have to say, I do absolutely hate closing the show in this manner because it just feels this uncertainty isn't fair. But we just again. I mean, what can we do?
Pedro Porro. Everyone remembers that it was gone. The deal was in doubt.
It was back.
He said goodbye to the fans. Deal was in doubt. He's look where he is now. Yeah. He's winning the Europa League with us.
I thought Marlon was going to do this Thomas the Tank Engine tune there for a minute. I was just waiting for it, but it didn't quite come.
Oh my God! Only in the world of Tottenham do you get this.
Bottom line, guys, Eze or Esnday. Let us just hope because this is important. When we can go to
massively important.
Stress. This is really important. And we need to get it done. So, I'm sure the Tottenham hierarchy are aware of that. We've heard what Daniel Levy said back in June. He's going to look foolish. So, whatever Palace are doing, mate, look at the big picture here, please.
Yeah, let's
make the optics of this again. I'll say that again. The optics of this doesn't go through.
It looks shocking. It looks shocking,
especially now.
The club know that. Look, the club know that. That it would just implode.
They also know the damage of a message that goes out like that to the fan base.
Palace know that, which is why I'm sure that we're not going to sanction this move. Well, not until you give us a bit more money. So they're not stupid. So okay, let's just look at the bigger picture. Let's not miss out again on a top player who could make such a difference, way more than what 10 million quid or whatever it is that's holding the deal up.
I'm just going to say, let's not.
A couple of Beyonce concerts. Do you know what I mean? That's all it is. A couple of you bake and Ben will pay for that in a couple of weeks' time.
I don't think it's the money. I really don't think it's the money, guys. I just think it's the situation, coming to the realization that their star guy is finally leaving. It's like Margot Robbie leaving you, right? She's leaving. She ain't coming back, and she's going to give you.
Shane even me,
and this is who you're going to get instead. A 10's leaving, and you're getting a 6 in its place, and not a number 6, a 6 out of 10. I just think that it's coming to the realization that he's leaving, and they got to find a replacement. And I think it's a lot of posturing, and eventually will come the realization you can't hold a player against his will when he served you for 5 years. So,
don't worry, Johnny. We have seen someone allegedly hold a player against his will. Allegedly.
Has anyone seen his dog yet? Because it was the dog that was being held hostage by Marinakis. Listen, look, John Tech. Don't even get me started on John Textor and Marinakis and the link between those two shenanigans. But no, listen. We should all manifest. There's a few days left. Let's all manifest a couple of good signings. I believe we will get 2 big signings. What they will look like, who knows? But
can I try and leave everyone on a little bit of a positive? Question was just posed to Miguel Delaney. Are the difficulties something that you think can be sorted out? He went, yes, of course, from what I'm told.
Yes.
Hey, it's good. We're all happy again.
Clickbait.
Yeah.
Remember, we spent the last half an hour doing this debate, and it's for no reason.
For no reason. If he's not in the squad tomorrow, if he's not playing tomorrow, everyone will be like, okay, there you go.
It's back on.
I think Delaney.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We are back. We are back. Back in the room. First versus second. What we got to worry about is a debut. We'll be absolutely fine. We've got 15,000 here that we're holding in absolute suspense right now, thinking what the hell is going on. I can't give a more positive update that's coming through to us from. God, where's this show going to end?
How many tweets has he done? How many tweets is Delaney doing? He's tweeting every 5 seconds.
We're into breaking news coming through from Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian. That is saying Tottenham are closing in on the deal to sign Eberechi Eze. Honestly, couldn't make this up. Oh my God.
Give it 15 seconds. There's another report coming through. Who's next?
Yeah. Listen, guys, stay level-headed, stay calm.
Just don't worry about this last half hour.
Don't panic.
Delaney just needed some new followers today. That's all he wanted. He went, I'm going to do this. He's got a bet going. And he went, I had to do it.
He's lost me. Oh, dear.
Very quickly, Marcus, Tottenham Way's back. Where can we really find you? Probably a bit more less dramatic than what we are on here, to be fair. A lot more measured and calm, aren't you? You're a lot more, not as dramatic as this.
No, we tend not to be quite as dramatic as this. But, we'll be appearing week in, week out. And I like to feel as though we are a complimentary hors d'oeuvre to your fantastic podcast. But please do listen. I've got there's me. George Sessions is coming for Dan Kilpatrick. That was our big summer signing. Miguel Delaney was texting.
We saw him earlier today, George. Lovely boy, lovely.
Yeah, I mean that was on and that was off. And Delaney said there were negotiation problems, but we got that one over the line. And Tom Barkley and Tom Ornat as well. So they're very informed, and it's well worth a listen. So thanks for the plug.
Marcus, you're a star. Marlon, thank you for the Spurs Kings. We've got Johnny, of course, Football Inc. Check them out. We're going to leave you with the news that is coming through to us. Everybody stay calm, stay calm. Tottenham are closing in on the signing of Eberechi Eze. What have we spoke about over the last half hour? Just forget that. Skip it towards the end. It's all about Richarlison, who stole the show from Johnny, from Marlon, from Marcus. Eberechi Eze really did steal the show on this one other than Richie. But from us all, keep safe, keep well. The Thomas Frank era is off and running. Ebe's coming soon. From us all, keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.